They say temptation does not come banging at your door. Instead, it slips in quietly, like a breeze through a crack in the window. Soft, almost innocent. It does not wear a warning label or announce itself with red flags and sirens. Sometimes it wears a familiar smile. Sometimes it sounds like laughter in your own living room. And sometimes it takes the shape of your husband's best friend. I still remember how the night air felt that evening. Heavy still, like the calm before a storm. The house was dim quiet, peaceful. The kind of peace that makes you forget that peace can be dangerous too. You think peace means safety. But for me that night, peace was the silence before my world split in two. It has been months now, and I still replay it in my mind, how it started, how subtle it was, how it crept in one glance at a time. One laugh too long, one moment too close. I used to think I was the kind of woman who had it all together, married with a beautiful home and stability, the kind of life you post on social media that people envy without knowing the truth behind the photos. But inside I was unraveling quietly, slowly, like a loose thread on a sweater you keep pulling, not realizing it is the one thing holding everything together. He saw it before I did, my husband's best friend. He noticed what even my husband had not seen in years, that behind my smile, behind the "I'm fine," was a woman starving for something real. I did not plan for this. I did not wake up one day thinking I would become her, the woman who crosses the line, who says yes when she should walk away. But life does not always ask you to plan. Sometimes it places you in a moment and waits to see who you really are when no one is watching. That night I saw a version of myself I did not recognize, or perhaps the version I had buried for years, the one who wanted to feel seen. He looked at me like I was not invisible, like I had not faded into the background of my own life. We were alone. My husband was away on a business trip. It was just the two of us in that dim kitchen, half lit by the warm yellow of the stove light, the clock ticking louder than ever, the smell of wine and old memories between us. He leaned in just enough to blur the lines of what should have been casual, and said, "There is something I have always wanted." He looked me in the eye, not smirking, not joking, no laughter to brush it off, just raw, open truth hanging between us, like fog. I could have stopped him. I should have. But I did not. That was the moment everything changed. Once you do not stop something, it grows, not in loud, obvious ways, but in quiet ones, the kind that sneak up on you while you are folding laundry, staring out the window, or lying next to a husband who is right there, but feels miles away. Let me take you back before that night, before the moment that changed everything. I am 41, now married for nearly 15 years. We have 2 children and a comfortable home in the suburbs of Ohio. The kind of life people call predictable, repetitive, quiet, in all the wrong ways. My husband James is a good man, a provider, solid. He works hard, always has, but somewhere along the way we stopped seeing each other, not in a dramatic shouting match way, but like the lights dimming slowly until we were sitting in the dark, forgetting we once had light. He would come home late, tired, always tired, talking more to his phone than to me. I stopped asking where he had been, stopped hoping for a hug that lasted more than 2 seconds. We became polite roommates, functional co-parents, business partners, in this thing called marriage. That is when Ethan started showing up more. Ethan has been James's best friend since college. He has always been around holidays, birthdays, family trips, the kind of friend who does not knock anymore, just walks in, grabs a beer and flops onto the couch. Everyone loves him. The kids adore him, and honestly I always liked him too. It was harmless, always harmless until it was not. I started noticing things, the way his eyes lingered a second longer, the way he really listened when I talked. Not the distracted nodding I had grown used to, but real listening, like my words had weight. He would help clean up after dinner, crack a joke to make me laugh, lean a little too close when handing me a dish. It was subtle. So subtle I told myself I was imagining it, but deep down I knew I was not. Deep down, I knew I. One night we were all sitting outside. The kids were playing in the yard, and James was inside on another call. Ethan poured me a glass of wine and said, "You look tired, but still beautiful." I froze, because it was the first time in months, maybe years, that someone saw me. Not the mum, not the wife, but me. I hated how good it felt. You do not realize how lonely you are until someone makes you feel otherwise. My days had started blending together. Wake up, make breakfast, pack lunches, work, pick up the kids, cook, clean, sleep, repeat. James and I barely spoke, unless it was about bills or schedules. We had not touched each other, really touched in so long. I stopped counting. But Ethan was a reminder of what it felt like to be noticed, desired alive. The worst part, I did not push it away. I let it happen in small ways. Lingering in the kitchen with him, laughing too hard at his jokes, standing too close. I told myself it was nothing, but it was not nothing. It was everything. One afternoon, I watched Ethan from the kitchen window as he fixed the kid's tire swing. His sleeves were rolled up, and he was laughing with my son, wiping sweat from his forehead. He looked up, saw me watching, and smiled. Not a casual smile, not a neighbourly wave, but soft, personal. I smiled back. That smile was the beginning of the end. I started wearing lipstick again, just a little. I started doing my hair, even if I was not going anywhere. I started feeling like a woman again, not just a caretaker. I hated myself for it, but I also craved it. Is it so wrong to want to feel wanted? To feel like you matter, like you are not just a background character in your own life? I always thought loyalty came easily to me, until I started feeling seen again. That is when I realized loyalty is easy, when no one is tempting you to feel alive. It was a Saturday, one of those picture-perfect suburban weekends that look better on the outside than they feel on the inside. We were hosting a barbecue, the grill sizzling, kids running around with popsicles, music playing low from a Bluetooth speaker, friends, neighbours, laughter. It was all there, all the ingredients for a beautiful day. For a while, I let myself believe we were okay. James was charming in front of guests as usual, playing the host, well beer in hand, cracking jokes, flipping burgers. But even in the crowd I could feel the distance between us. It is a strange thing to be married and still feel invisible, like you are sitting across from someone who looks right through you. Then work called, as it always did. James stepped away, phone pressed to his ear, disappearing into the house. He said it would be quick, but it never was. An hour passed, maybe more. People noticed but said nothing. They laughed, kept drinking, pretended everything was fine. But Ethan saw it. He always did. He caught my eye across the yard while I was clearing plates from the patio table. Just a glance, but it lingered. He followed me into the kitchen quietly, like he knew I needed help but would not ask. I did not protest. We stood at the sink together, side by side, rinsing dishes. The kitchen was quiet, except for the soft clink of silverware and the murmur of voices outside. I could hear James's voice faintly in the other room, still on the phone. Ethan handed me a plate. We worked in rhythm like we had done this 1,000 times. It felt oddly intimate, not romantic, just close, safe, familiar. Then out of nowhere he said, "Do you ever feel like you are fading into the background?" My hand stopped moving. The sponge hovered over a glass water running. I did not answer right away because I felt it too deeply. The truth hit me like a wave I had not braced for. He looked at me waiting. I said, "Yes, all the time." There was silence after that, heavy, but not uncomfortable, more like a shared understanding, like we were both sitting in the same quiet sadness. I kept scrubbing the glass, trying not to think too hard. But then his hand brushed mine, just lightly, just enough to feel warm. I should have pulled away, laughed it off, or made a joke. I should have stepped back, but I did not. I did not move at all. He said nothing, just let the moment hang there like a secret neither of us wanted to name. I looked at him, and he looked back longer than he should have, longer than a friend is supposed to. I did not look away. My heart raced, but my body stayed still, frozen between guilt and something I did not want to admit. I had been longing for. After that night in the kitchen, things did not go back to normal. Ethan did not mention what happened, and neither did I, but there was a shift. Subtle, quiet, but real. You could feel it in the spaces between words, in glances that lasted too long in the air, that seemed heavier. Whenever we were in the same room, he started showing up more often. At first it raised no alarms. He was James's best friend after all. No one questioned it, not even James. But I noticed how he dropped by in the middle of the day with some excuse he had left. Something last time, or he was just in the neighbourhood. Sometimes he brought coffee or lunch or helped carry groceries without being asked. Every visit felt more personal. He would linger in the doorway, look around like he was memorizing the shape of my life. Our conversations drifted from casual to intimate. Not romantic, not yet, but emotional. He started asking questions no one had in a long time. "What do you want these days? What makes you happy?" These questions hit places inside me I did not even know were still alive. I answered not just with words, but with sighs, long pauses, truths I did not want to admit to myself. Things I had not told anyone, not even James. Then came the business trip. James was leaving for 4 days, some client meeting in another state. He barely looked up when he told me, listing off flight details like he was reading a grocery list. He kissed me on the cheek out of habit. No eye contact, no warmth. I nodded, told him to travel safely, and that was it. The first night without him, the house was quiet. Too quiet. The kids were with their grandparents for the weekend, so it was just me alone, surrounded by stillness. Then Ethan knocked. He had a bottle of wine in one hand and a crooked smile on his face. "I did not want you to feel alone," he said. Just like that, he was inside. I should have said no. I should have thanked him and sent him on his way. But I did not, because I was feeling more alone than I would ever admit out loud. And he knew it. We sat on the couch talking. The wine flowed slowly, and so did the conversation. It started with laughter, funny stories from college, embarrassing moments, safe memories. But somewhere between the second glass and the way his voice dropped to a softer tone, things changed. He told me I looked different lately, more alive. My stomach tightened because I knew what he meant, and I knew it was not innocent. I told him I had started painting again, that I had picked up an old canvas from the garage and let the colours speak. He smiled like he already knew. like he could see the change in me without needing proof. Then came the confession. He looked at me, eyes low and steady. "I have always admired you, even back then. I used to wonder what would have happened if things had been different." My heart stopped. It was the first time he had said anything that could not be disguised as casual. There was no pretending after that. He was not talking like a friend. He was talking like a man who wanted something he had not allowed himself to say until now. I should have stopped him. Changed the subject, stood up, anything. But I did not. I just sat there frozen. He leaned in slowly, giving me time to pull away every chance to say no. But I did not move. I did not say a word. When his lips met mine, soft, hesitant, I let them stay. It was a kiss that waited for permission in silence, and I gave it. I told myself it was only a kiss, just one. But deep down I knew everything had already changed. Ethan's birthday came quickly. I had not realized how close it was until James mentioned it over breakfast. "We should have him over," he said, casually flipping through emails on his phone. "He is basically family." Just like that, it was decided a quiet dinner at our place. Nothing big. Just us, the kids, and Ethan. I said yes. But inside I felt tension. A tightness in my chest. I could not name. That evening I cooked more than usual, telling myself it was to make the night special. But I was nervous. I curled my hair, added a little eyeliner, wore a dress I had not put on in over a year. I wanted to look good, not just presentable. The moment Ethan walked through the door, I felt it again, that quiet pull. He brought flowers for me, saying it was a birthday tradition to give something, instead of just receiving. James laughed, called him a sentimental fool, and poured drinks. Dinner was easy, light, filled with stories and laughter. Ethan was his usual charming self, teasing the kids, complimenting the food, making jokes that kept the air light. But underneath, I felt an undercurrent of something unspoken in the way he glanced at me when no one was looking, the way his fingers brushed mine when he passed a plate. Nothing overt, but everything intentional. After dinner, the kids went to bed. James, as expected, got a work call and stepped out to take it, saying he would only be a minute. He was gone for nearly an hour. Ethan and I stayed in the living room, the dishes still on the table. The music faded. Suddenly, it was just us alone again. He did not say anything at first, just sat on the couch sipping the last of his wine. I sat across from him, pretending to scroll through my phone, pretending not to feel the weight of his silence. Then he spoke. "For my birthday," he said, voice low, eyes steady. "I have a wish, just one." I looked up slowly. My mouth opened, but nothing came out. He did not smile or laugh. He meant it. I felt a chill crawl down my spine. I tried to deflect. "Oh, come on," I said, forcing a smile. "Do not get all mysterious on me now." But he just looked at me, quiet, serious. I knew what he meant before he said it. I looked away. "You should not," I whispered. "I know," he said, "but I still do." The silence between us swelled, full of everything we had not said, everything we had tried to ignore. My heartbeat was loud in my ears, my throat dry, my hands trembling slightly in my lap. He stood up slowly, walked over and sat beside me. I did not move. He did not touch me. He did not need to. The tension wrapped around us like a blanket. Hot, suffocating, familiar. "I have tried to stay away," he said, but I cannot pretend any more." I looked at him, then past him toward the hallway where James was still talking. Completely unaware, I should have stopped it. I should have stood up, walked away. But I did not. I looked back at Ethan and said, "Okay, just this once." He did not wait, and I did not resist. What happened next was not rushed or wild. It was not anything like I thought it would be. It was quiet, careful, sad. It was two people searching for something they could not name. And for a little while we found it. But even as it happened, I knew we were crossing a line we could not uncross. I could feel it in the way his breath caught, in the way my hands trembled, in the ache that bloomed in my chest. This was not a beginning. It was the unravelling. That night changed everything. Not in the way I expected or wanted, but in the way it had to. The morning after was not peaceful or comforting. Just still. I woke up early before the sun rose with a strange, hollow feeling in my chest, like something inside me had shifted and could not shift back. Ethan was already up dressed, sitting at the edge of the couch, staring at the floor, like the answers might be in the wood grain. He did not look at me. Not once I said nothing, either. He mumbled something about an early meeting, vague and rushed, like he could not leave fast enough. I stood there wrapped in my robe, gripping the doorway, watching him go without turning around. The front door clicked shut. And that was it. No goodbye. No closure. Just silence. I stood there long after he left, listening to the emptiness, trying to catch my breath, trying to make sense of what had happened. My body still remembered his hands, his voice, the weight of him. But my heart felt strange, not broken, not whole, just confused. There was a twisted mix of emotions: shame, thrill, regret, sadness, and maybe grief. I thought it would feel different, maybe a rush of passion that would make everything make sense. Or maybe it would fill the hole inside me that had been aching for so long. But instead I just felt empty. The worst part, James came home that morning and kissed me on the forehead like nothing had happened, like his best friend had not touched me in a place he had not touched in months. He dropped his suitcase by the door, complained about the flight, asked about the kids, and I stood in the kitchen nodding, smiling, playing along, like I was not crumbling inside. All I could think was, he has no idea who I have become, who I was long before last night. For a few days I tried to push it aside, pretend it did not matter, pretend I could compartmentalize what Ethan and I did, that it was a mistake to bury. But the silence that followed said otherwise. Ethan did not come around after that. No texts, no visits, no excuses to drop by. He disappeared, and the space he left felt louder than anything. I found myself staring at the door around the time he used to show up, waiting for a knock that never came, replaying our last words, wondering if I misread it all. Was I just a fantasy? He needed to play out a birthday wish he could make and walk away from. He got what he wanted, but I felt discarded, used, and that hurt more than I expected. I would stare at my phone late at night, hoping for a message that did not come, listening to James breathe beside me. Unaware, untouched, unchanged. I asked myself, what did I do? What did I think this would fix? Now I was not just lonely. I was ashamed alone in a deeper way. After Ethan disappeared, something inside me went quiet. Not peacefully, but like the noise stopping after an explosion, leaving only ringing in your ears. I moved through the days in a haze, cooking, cleaning, smiling when I was supposed to, but I was not there. Maybe I had not been there for a long time, but I did not notice until I crossed a line. I could not uncross. I started asking myself hard questions I had avoided for years, questions that stuck in my throat like broken glass. Why did I do it? Was it love revenge or just desperation? Maybe I just wanted to feel something, because feeling invisible is a slow death. You do not even know you are disappearing until there is barely anything left to see in the mirror. James did not notice the shift in me. Or if he did, he said nothing. He still came home, kissed me on the cheek, asked what was for dinner. We sat across from each other at the table like strangers pretending to play house. Inside, I was slipping away. I stopped trying to connect, stopped reaching out, stopped hoping for more than what we were. That coldness became my armor. Some nights after everyone was asleep, I would sit in the living room alone, pulling out old photo albums or watching videos from our early days. I stared at the version of myself who laughed easily, who grabbed James's hand in public, who believed love was enough. I cried, not loud, not dramatic, just soft tears that left salt on my lips. I missed her, the woman I used to be. I missed believing in a love that did not leave you hollow. I started writing again, not stories or essays, just pieces of myself entries in a notebook I kept hidden in the back of my closet. My only place to be honest. One night I wrote, I gave in to a moment, but now I am trapped in a lifetime of what-ifs. What if I had said no? What if I had stopped Ethan when I had the chance? What if I had spoken up in my marriage before I got this far? But more than anything, what if I never feel seen again? That is what it came down to. I did not want a different man or to wreck my life. I just wanted someone to look at me like I mattered, like I was more than the woman behind the scenes holding it all together. Ethan, whether it was real or not, gave me that for a moment. But that moment cost me more than I was prepared to lose. Now, every glance from James feels like a lie. Every "I love you," like an echo in an empty room. We are still married, still sharing a bed, still checking off the boxes, but we are miles apart. And I do not know how to close the distance anymore. Some nights I ask myself, if you were in my place, if you felt unseen, untouched, unheard, would you have said yes to that wish? Would you trade one moment of being wanted for a weight that never goes away? I did, and I carry that weight every single day. Have you ever been tempted to cross a line just because you felt invisible, not unloved, not unwanted, just unseen, like you are standing in a crowded room waving your arms, screaming inside, but no one turns to look? Not even the person who promised they would never stop seeing you. What would you have done in my place? If someone made you feel like you mattered again, reminded you of who you were before you became someone's wife, someone's mother, someone's shadow, would you have walked away, or would you have said yes just once? I am not asking for pity or permission. I know I crossed a line, and I live with that truth every day. But I also know I am not the only one who has felt this way. That quiet ache, that longing to feel alive in a world that keeps asking you to disappear into the roles you are supposed to play. So tell me, have you ever made a choice that felt right for 1 second and wrong for every second after? I want to hear your thoughts, your judgment, your stories, even your silence. Sometimes just knowing someone understands is enough. Sometimes the things we do to feel alive end up killing parts of us we did not know were still breathing. I said yes to one wish, just one, and I have been carrying its weight ever since. It did not ruin my life in a dramatic movie scene way, but it cracked something quietly, deeply, permanently. Now even the good moments feel tainted, like a shadow at the edge of every smile. Some secrets never stay buried. They live with you, change you, soften you in some places, and harden you in others. Some wishes come with a price I am still paying every single day.